Hi everyone, I'm Tamas Paku from Paku Kapu, and right now I'm in Gardoni. I'm going to install a Lince 324 volt gate opener motor. I won't show you this part since you've already seen something similar, but here the wiring hasn't been done yet. That's what I'd like to show you, so that if you want to have an electric gate opener at home, you can see how to make the whole process cheaper, because we gate installers don't really like doing the wiring. I'll show you here as well just how much hassle more the wiring actually involves. And if I show you now what kind of cable to use, how to lay it, and where to run it out, then the gate installer will have a much easier job, and as a result, they'll be able to install your gate motor for you much more cheaply. All you have to do is take care of the wiring in advance. I will explain everything in detail, and I hope this way you'll be able to keep much more money in your pocket. And in today's video, that's what I'm going to show you. That's what I'm going to demonstrate for you. All right? TDI is the best. It sounds great. That's false. The beige-colored dog is Zeno, and the little one is Molly. They will be my helpers today. Here I installed a Lince 300 type gate motor from the Motorlani. This is a 24 volt motor. I chose a 24 volt one because it runs much more smoothly and tolerates installation geometry that deviates slightly from the factory specifications. Much better. It's often a common question and problem that there's not enough space. What am I thinking? Well, for example, here the space is tight. And between the small gate and the large gate, it's also cramped here. The minimum distance required to install a gate motor, at least for this type of motor, is 8 cm. Both there and there. And now I'll show you the wiring. Let's start with the 230V first. So the gate motor needs a 230V power supply. Let's start from the distribution box. First, you need to run the 230V to the gate motor. Here's our electric meter. You open this up and check, and if it's sealed, then that's not an option. So we won't be able to get involved in this. Here we have a socket. From here, it would be possible to run the power over there. Well, that's actually a huge hassle because there are stones, grass pavers, and a lot of digging involved. Fortunately, this has already been taken care of. Or rather, we solved it by using that lamp over there. Do you see it? Here is its switch. Aunt Annie, the owner, said she doesn't need the lamp. So yeah, I used it for this location. I'll show you how in just a moment. So here is our lamp. Aunt Annie said she won't be using it. However, we'll keep it as a decoration because it's actually nice. So I connected the 230 volts to it. There's a junction box inside. The bottom of the junction box is roughly here. So even if it rains, it won't get wet inside. If the water ever gets this high here on the property, that's actually great because it means there's plenty of water in Lake Velence, since the lake is about 100 meters from here. So somehow we need to get the 230 volts all the way to the gate. And on which side of the gate? At the swing gate. We'll have a control box, which I've placed there for now. But you could have put it over there too. If you have enough space, you can put it there as well. The basic rule is that it should be close to one of the gate motors. All right? This is rule number one. Well, we couldn't manage that because of the circumstances, since there isn't enough space there either. It's tight there too. So, in agreement with the owner, I placed the control box here. So first of all, decide where you want to place the control box and bring the 230 volts there. Our control box is over there. Our power supply is here. And I ran it into the control unit through a protective conduit. What kind of cable did I use? To bring the 230 volts over, use a 1.5 metotus cable. I'll show you in a moment. One moment. Just a moment. I'm looking for a piece of cable. So to bring the power there, use a 3S1.5 cable. There are two types you can use, either the MT cable or the MBCU. One of them is stranded, so the MT cable is stranded and easily bendable. The MBCU, on the other hand, is rigid. So this is the MT, which has copper strands inside, and this is the MBCU. This is a rigid cable. The MT is also suitable for underground use if it's in a protective conduit, but the very best is the MBCU, so the rigid one. However, I don't really like using it because it's very difficult to work with, you know. It's hard to pull in, it's not flexible. You have to straighten it before pulling it in. So I usually use the MT. That's perfectly fine too, as long as it's properly installed in a conduit. For protective conduit, I usually use black step-resistant corrugated tubing. It's easy to work with, but there are even better ones, specifically designed for outdoor use and UV resistant. The only problem with those is that they're only available in either purple or pink. I really don't get it, by the way. I mean, who would want to see a pink or purple corrugated tube on their wall? Well, I certainly wouldn't. So the black corrugated tube is good, but there are a few small things you need to pay attention to. I'll show you in a moment. So as you can see, we're in a garden here, which means they're probably going to mow the lawn. If you hit this black corrugated tube with a string trimmer, you'll break it. It'll crack. So you need to be prepared. You need to expect that this is going to happen. The way I try to prevent this is by putting a metal corrugated tube over the section that might be exposed to mechanical impact. I didn't put it here anymore because, you know, people don't usually mow the grass at 20 centimeters high. And how deep should we bury the cable? Since this is a garden, it's likely that people will be digging here. So if I bury the conduit, you see, and the cable 1 spade deep, there's a good chance that they'll cut it during the first spring digging. So if you're burying it in the garden, logically it should be 2 spade depths. So as you can see, this is the garden area and there will probably be digging here. I dug down 2 spade depths and also placed a metal conduit here, so that a shovel or a brush cutter can't damage the plastic cable. By the way, nothing will happen to this plastic cable underground, so it can be buried back. So the 200 and... Hey Zeno, you're so sweet. What kind of cable should you use from the control box to the motor? 4 times 0.75. A 4 times 0.75 MT cable. Down, this has 4 wires and it will work for you whether you want a 24 volt motor or a 230 volt one. If you run the gas cable from the control box to the motors, you don't need to install the junction box or the pipe clamps. That will be done by the gate installer. It's more than enough if you bring the cable up to about the height where the motor will eventually be. And where will the motor be? Well, as you can see, the arm definitely needs to be attached to a horizontal reinforcement. If your gate doesn't have a horizontal reinforcement, then either you weld one in yourself or the gate installer will do it. Obviously, ask them about this. I'd like to say a few more words about the infrared sensors. The infrared sensor or photocell or detector or eye, whatever you want to call it, serves the purpose of preventing the gate from closing. That is, if there is an obstacle, meaning an object or a person between the two sensors. These are usually placed outside for practical reasons. So one part will be here, and the other part will be over here. And with a swing gate, it only really makes sense if you also put one on the inside, so here and on the other side as well. And why is that? Because if there's only a sensor outside and the back of the car is still inside, you could still close the gate on it, you see? So if there's only a sensor outside, it's completely pointless. You need to install 2 pairs. So let's sum this up. First, you decide where the control box should go. If possible, place it near one of the motors, to the intended location of the control box. Run the power there, and leave plenty of extra cable. Let me explain how it works. The control box receives the 230 volts. From there, the power is distributed to one motor and the other. So from the control box, you need to run a cable to the future location of each motor. The motor is roughly at the same height as the horizontal, more reinforcement on the gate. Here we have one at the bottom as well, but I couldn't put it there because of this concrete ledge. So I used the upper one. If you don't have a reinforcement in there, then weld one in, or the gate installer will weld one in. So roughly figure out where the gate motor will be. If you're not sure, ask the gate installer by sending him a photo. And what kind of cable should you bring there? Definitely a 4-core one. If you bring a 4-core cable, it will work for both the 230 volt and the 28 volt types. I mean, in terms of the motor type. What diameter should the cable be? At least 4 times 0.75, but it can be larger. It can be 4 times 1, 4 times 1.5, but it shouldn't be larger than 1.5. So at minimum, a 4 times 0.75 stranded or a solid cable, meaning MT or MBCU. Run that in a corrugated conduit as well, also black, and make sure to provide protection where it meets ground level. Here too there is a piece of metal conduit that protects against the lawnmower. How deep does it need to be placed? This doesn't need to be placed very deep, since no one will be digging here. Right, Zeno? This doesn't need to be placed very deep. No one will be digging here. Just make sure the cat doesn't dig it up. And what if you want a flashing light, a yellow flasher? Leave that to the gate installer. Don't bother wiring it up. Just forget about it. It's not important. By the way, if it's a new construction, so you're just planning it now, you're planning your gate, and you think you'll install the protective conduit, and then the gate installer will pull the cable through later. Oh, well, that's not good. That's not good. So if you're already going to the trouble of installing the conduit, then put the cable in as well. The usual problem is that contractors put in, the yellow rigid conduit. Yeah, you know, that stiff one. Or they use the black corrugated pipe, and it gets kinked, rainwater gets in, or they don't seal the top, and insects, or those mud dauber wasps move in. I don't even know what kind of wasp it's called. Let me know in the comments. I'm not that obsessed with bugs, but when the client tells me that the conduit is already in place, and I just need to pull the cable through, I know that day will probably turn into a day of poetry. And here I'm thinking of a nightmare, because 90% of the time I won't be able to pull the cable through the conduit. No matter how great my cable puller is, I just won't be able to do it. 9 times out of 10, it's a nightmare. That's about it. I hope I was able to help. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me by email at any time. Without any hesitation, please do not hesitate, so go for it. Good luck. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. Hello. That's not how you say it, Yoshi. Let 100 flowers bloom. Let every flower bloom. Or maybe I shouldn't say it if I don't know it. All right? So one more time.